From Craig Rolson in Europe, David Gerber in Brazil, and our editor-in-chief and publisher, Don Oshman, it's time for this week's Sunday Night Week in Review.
Good evening. It's time once again for the HydeNet International World Market Report. My name is Don Oshman, editor-in-chief and publisher of HydeNet Reports. In Europe this week, prices were generally steady. There's a tug-of-war going on in all of the areas we cover, probably most of the world in bovine material, where buyers are not anxious, overly anxious. There's always some, but there's some people generally aren't anxious, and producers don't need to sell real bad. So the market remains very, very firm at historic highs just about every place you go, and not a lot of activity. This has something to do with the seasonality, but you can talk about low kills, you can talk about big kills, you can talk about everything, but I think that the prices have got to a plateau where buyers are scratching their head and saying, do I want to buy at this level, these levels? Meanwhile, the markets don't go down either. In Europe, as I just said, prices were steady. Demand for Irish 36 and up remained around, what was that, $2 delivered in northern Italy. EU cow prices were stable. Veal skins were unchanged. And the tanners, the automotive tanners, who buy those very expensive, wonderful steers over there, seemed to be satiated, weren't reaching out to buy anything, just like everybody, every place else. Our predictions are available at HydeNet.com, and our predictions have been very, very accurate. We're not right 100% of the time, but as we say on the U.S. report, our scale, a tale of the scale of supply and demand, and our forecasts are right about 85% of the time, which is why HydeNet reports don't cost you, they pay. You don't have to do many smart trades to pay for a subscription. In North America this week, same story. Prices were just about steady on historic highs. Volume was moderate at best, like it was in Europe. Steer prices range between $106 and $110 CNF Asian or European reports. Not many wet blue available. Here we had a glut of wet blue for sure in Shanghai. And now I wouldn't say it's a shortage, but nobody's pressing to sell wet blues. Italy remained a big buyer of even not just wet blue, but other American hides, wet salted hides as well this week. Cow prices were steady. Combined outstanding, that's hides that have been sold and not yet shipped, were off 4% compared to the previous week. Combined shipments were down 15% from high numbers of last week. And slaughter surpassed sales, and we had a pretty low slaughter of about 599,000, which is below the usual of about 625, 635. But sales were below that. And shipments, however, were greater than sales and slaughter. Cattle and feed were down 6%, which shows you that there's not going to be any abundance of cattle coming down the pike out of the feedlots. And the question we ask in our forecast this week, is there any rationale for current price levels? Read it and find out what we think. In Latin America, Brazilian fresh hides were up a little bit again. Argentinian fresh hides were strong. Everybody's fresh hides are still competing, but not quite as fiercely, but they're still higher. Some Brazilian tanners have cut their production because they're losing money. They have to pay so much for their green hides. That's just not Brazil, it's other tanneries in the area too, because they can't get enough for their wet blue or their crust or their finished leathers. TR Brazilian wet blue traded between $170 per foot CFR for a little bit of, not the very best quality, up to $1.75 for the Primo selections of TR full substance wet blue. So the market's someplace in between there. And then of course some people say, well, I heard cheaper prices. There are long-term contracts or special arrangements, so it's a general prices. Argentina, the wet salted slaughter has gone up, and they're having a big year in Argentina on their slaughter. But they're still, regardless, their wet salted hide prices went up this week, and nothing to do with one or the other, but Argentine footwear exports went down. Tanner sales in Brazil, I don't know about Argentina, but in Brazil, the tanners have enough hides sold through the end of the year. Or the shipments, they're pushed for shipments, and they're slowing their shipments because they can't make any money at these levels unless they get the top, and they're well sold, don't need to sell anymore. So that's another stalemate where volume is low and not much happening. Our This Week in Leather report, which comes out on Wednesdays, we have a story on the Thai leather industry, on the Indian leather industry, on the Chinese consumers. The Chinese UITIC Congress report is in. We talk about October outdoor footwear sales in the United States. U.S. leather goods report. We have a very interesting statistics and a chart by Peter Mangione, who is a guru of footwear manufacturing and sales in North America and elsewhere. We got some great statistics from him. And the furniture business, the FBI, Furniture Brands International, was on the block because they were losing money and they were going to be sold out. This is a huge manufacturer, and the thing was canceled. The sale was canceled because of lack of enough buyers. So that's a quick summary of what's going on in the HideNet world this week. Again, HideNet subscriptions don't cost, they pay, which is why we have so many readers around the world, and you should be one too. But don't take my word for it. Sign up for a free trial, www.hidenet.com, and find out why tanners, manufacturers, packers, everybody in the industry worldwide wants to read HideNet. You should too. Thanks for watching.